just an investment property. Contact Nicole London at 888-860-2366. That's 888-860-2366. Or you can log on to Dominica, EliteRealty.com for all your inquiries and questions. Elite Realty Dominica, where exquisite living is defined by nature.
Lawrence Prescott Photography. I'm smiling, I'm laughing because, God, I know what I'm talking about. Lawrence Prescott Photography. That's the only person you need to call when you're ready to take your pictures. You want those pictures to come out right. You want those pictures to last forever. You want your best picture taken? Lawrence Prescott Photography. He does private events, in studio also, and outdoor photography if you need. Photography is what Lawrence Prescott does, and he's really good at it. Trust me. And also, when you want to get that video done, any type of videography production, he got you. He does short films, movies, any type of videos as well. Lawrence Prescott got you at anything that you really need. So make sure you give him a call. His phone number, and I'm going to say it slow for you, it's 404-218-1234. Did you get that? 404-218-1234. Lawrence Prescott Photography. Yo, my brethren, big up.
O shepherd of our souls, we come before you, acknowledging that you're our guide, our provider, and our constant companion. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. We thank you for the abundance you provide, not just material sustenance, but the deep peace and contentment that comes from knowing you. He makes us lie down in green pastures. He leads us beside the still waters. Lord, in the midst of the chaos and noise of the world, grant us the ability to find rest in your presence. Lead us to choose places of tranquility where our souls can be refreshed and renewed. Help us to recognize the stillness you offer and embrace it in full. Lord, you restore our souls. You lead us in the paths of righteousness for your name's sake. We confess that we often stray from your path, losing our way in the darkness of our own desires and fears. We ask for your restoration. Lord, heal the wounds of our past, mend the brokenness within us, and guide us back to the paths of righteousness, that we may walk in your truth and honor your name. Yea, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil, for you are with us. Your rod and your staff, they comfort us. In those times of darkness and uncertainty, when fear threatens to overwhelm us, remind us of your constant presence. Let your rod and staff, your strength and guidance be your comfort and protection. Help us to trust in your unwavering love, even when we cannot see the way ahead. You prepare a table before us in the presence of our enemies. You anoint our head with oil, our cup runs over. Lord, even in the face of adversity, you provide for us. You prepare a feast of blessing, a table of abundance in the midst of our trials. Anoint us with your spirit, filling us with your grace and overflowing joy. May our lives be a testament to your goodness, a cup that runs over with your blessings. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we will dwell in your house forever. We place our trust in your unfailing goodness and mercy, knowing that they will accompany us throughout our lives. We yearn to dwell in your presence, to abide in your love, now and forever. Thank you, Lord, for being our shepherd, our refuge, and our eternal home. Amen.
Rise, read between the lines. Whoa, avoid annihilation, go read revelation and wave it. bloodstained banner. I raise it, I say raise it to the sky. Declare it, shout the name of.
Bless your name, Jesus. I raise somebody's soul who da catch a fire. Hallelujah. Catch a fire. Catch a fire, Jesus. I raise somebody's soul who da catch a fire. Burn them with the Holy Ghost.
Jesus Almighty, hallelujah. Prodigal son, Lord, we bless you in this place. My God, we love you. We worship you, God. Hallelujah. Jesus.
I wish somebody's soul with a catch a fire. Hey, catch a fire. Catch a fire, Jesus. I wish somebody's soul with a catch a fire. Burn them with the Holy Ghost. Burn them, Jesus. Burn them with the Holy Ghost. Burn them, Jesus. Burn them with the Holy Ghost.
Jesus, send the fire, make it burn out corruption. Like a volcano in an eruption. Holy Ghost, I give out instruction. In the church, in a disruption. Put the people under conviction. Set them free from all them addiction. Get saved and dash your prescription. We convert all Muslim to Christian.
Burn them, Jesus. Burn them with the Holy Ghost. Burn them, Jesus. Burn them with the Holy Ghost. Now with somebody's soul with a catch a fire. Catch a fire. Catch a fire, Jesus. Now with somebody's soul with a catch a fire. Burn them with the Holy Ghost.
The Holy Ghost drop on me. God grace him dash for me. Have the scriptures dash for me. Holy fire is a gash for me. Make it praise you crazy. Holy fire is a blaze face. God power is a maze face. If we dead him will raise me.
Live up a praise right now, make it hyper. Come out me burn, make this know me lighter. Pan me knee, vigilant like a sniper. Blood Satan, the old viper. Burn them, Jesus. Burn them with the Holy Ghost. Burn them, Jesus. Burn them with the Holy Ghost. Man, morning, everybody. Listen, I'm getting so much into it. I didn't plan to talk this morning. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Voices Behind the Mask, the talk show, that talk show where we unmask real people with real stories that are intended not just to impact, but to transform your life, where we tell you that is your season to go, to grow, and to glow in your purpose. And this morning, we continue in that mode where we encourage you to go, to grow, and to glow in your purpose. Now that I'm testing my glasses and looking at myself on camera, I think I'm going to stick to the blue one. All right. So morning, everybody. I was really getting into that just now. And I'm your host, Alderine Foot, the Purpose Strategist. If you have not gotten your copy of any of my books, you need to go ahead and get it. I have a number of people out there who have been looking at this book, and they are saying that the book is really good. But this morning, my most recent book is called Dream Big. And Dream Big was designed for kids. And I'm just going to read what's on the back. It says, every child has the power to become something amazing. In this inspiring book, you'll meet kids who dream of who they would want to be, from scientists and astronauts to singers and athletes. No matter where you are from, this book reminds you that with courage and hard work, anything is possible. Are you ready to dream? Open the pages, meet new friends, and get inspired. I can dream big. And I don't know if you can all see this, but after every read, there are questions. So it acts like a journal and acts like a guide. So there are activities inside the book, and this question says, how do you keep going when things get difficult? But you'd have to read the first part to understand where that question came from. So go ahead and get a copy of the book for your kids. They will meet friends, they will learn about people who have walked into their purpose, and they will also get a chance to write in the book. So go ahead and get a copy of this book for your child. So why am I showing you that this morning? And I started to show a little bit. Before I go into that, I started to show a little different this morning. And I think, I'm sitting around just allowing God to lead me as far as this show is concerned. And I know God is doing a new thing this year, and it is different. And so my direction was to start with prayer. I listened to one of my shows recently, and I actually played a prayer, but it was not my prayer. And I actually prayed a prayer that I found online that morning. And I was listening to it, and the Lord said to me, this is how you're going to start, because it is very important for us to be covered. And how do we do that? We start with prayer. Just like we were taught when we were growing up. You pray in the morning, you pray in the afternoon, you pray in the night. So, like I said to people all the time, this is a God type talk show, different from the rest. So this morning, we are going to talk about helping kids to find who they are, helping kids to find their purpose. And that is what we're going to talk about, because I've been so focused on the adults, guiding the adults to find who you are. But our kids are struggling. And as a former educator, and I say this all the time, I spent 20 years in the classroom as a high school teacher. And I am still blessed to have the opportunity to be a Sunday school teacher. And so I do that every Sunday. I'd slacked up a little bit, but now I'm back doing that, and I absolutely love pouring into those kids on Sunday. And it is actually online, because our church is still online. So it is actually online. So if you have a child that you know who is not attending church, you can shoot me a message or something, and maybe start advertising it as well, so that they can jump on, because the feedback I'm getting, the parents are saying that the kids are absolutely loving it. All right. And that's no joke. That's the feedback I'm getting. So welcome once again to Voices Behind the Mask. And this morning we're unlocking extraordinary talents in our kids. I'm helping you to. My responsibility is to guide you on how to do that. Just like every single one of us, our children are born. They are born with unique qualities. They have that unique spark inside of them, but they need to find it. They need to find who they are. They are born with gifts, and those gifts are not them sitting around a game all day, because a lot of times that's all most kids know, that's all they want to do. But I tell you, my Sunday school kids would come online, and even the boys, and boys don't have any time for, but there's a lot of activity and so on that they do. And I have something big coming as it relates to that as well, because I see how it is impacting these kids that are coming on. I want to also use this information to touch other people, other kids that might not get a chance to come on this platform. But a lot of our kids, they have these talents they have, because a lot of our gifts that we have, if we look back, we realize that they're innate. We were born with them. All right. So this morning we want to peel back all of those layers and and reveal the talents, the aspirations that lie beneath all the layers. That's what we want to do this morning. We want to help our young children to dream and to chase their dreams, because I know that as adults, a lot of you are struggling. You are struggling to get your help your children, especially your teenage children. And this class I have is a mix, but it's predominantly teenage kids. I think I have one child that is maybe a year or two from becoming a teenager, and even she participates. She play her role in it. And so this is why this is so close to my heart, because we tend to leave out our kids sometimes that recognize that they too have dreams, they too have skills, they too have talent. I was online and I saw this this, I think it's an expo or something that's coming up, and they have a segment for kids, and I'm like, wow, that is really, that's really, really good. That's really, really good. A minute. All right. So the question is, how do we get our kids to tap into who they are? How do we get our kids? Reds, what do you think?
How we get our kids to understand who they are?
Mm-hmm.
God first.
Yep. And I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that, because if a child can understand, and that's one of the things I love that, Reds. And by the way, I did not prepare him. One of the things I am trying to get these kids to understand, and I think they're in that mode now, is to understand, show them how to pray. Like, I remember one morning, one of the kids was asked, I told him to pray, and he was like, he didn't know how. So I realized that I had a responsibility to teach them how to pray, how to talk to God. And one of the things that I impose on them is that anything, or not impose on them, that's too much of a strong word, that I encourage them to do is that anything that you are going through, it doesn't matter what it is, you can talk to God. You can talk to God about it. So what I started doing, because I'm saying it's my responsibility to teach them how to pray. So what I started doing, instead of having them pray in the mornings, the plan I have, the lesson plan that I have for the Sunday, there's an opening prayer and there's a closing prayer. So and it's very, very short. So I'm now getting them to get the practice of this is how you pray, and get them to understand that you don't have to pray long prayers. You don't have to be praying long prayers. So yes, that's the first thing they need to do, is when I have these issues, how do I talk to God? And every Sunday we have a story, and it's not yes, quote unquote, it's not a Bible story. We have a story that they can connect with. A child in class who is cheating, a child at home who is struggling with X, Y, or Z. Morning, guys. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Sanjean. Yes, that's her right there. Good morning, Anne. I saw your podcast, girl. I love it. Morning, Careen. And Lisa is answering. So let me see. She says, I think if we meet them where they are and learn their I love that. I love that. I love that. She says, I think if we meet them where they are and learn their language first, and that is so important. That is so important. I would not have said it in your words, and this is why I love when the people who are online reads, when they talk to us, because that's what I do with my kids. Like, one of the things I ask them, they're the ones who have even given me this, because when I was in the classroom, I used to use like quizzes and Quizlet, and there's this other one that I'm trying to remember right now that I use like for quizzes and so on. And they told me, like, listen, use Bluecat. No, I don't know what Bluecat is. I left the classroom in 2021. And I don't know what Bluecat is because, I used to use Kahoot. So when I realized Kahoot and Bluecat are kind of close, but Bluecat is what they like. So instead of us going in front of them and give them paper and pen, I'd moved away from that a long time. When I was at home with my son, because he's on the and I'll get into the nitty-gritty of the show in a minute. But I'm tapping into what Lisa just said, and I love that, Miss Todman. Thank you so much. That's a purse lady right there. I'm going to bring my amazing purse one morning to show you. Man, she has some lovely purses. And Lisa, you can drop your website. Please drop your website so they can go, because I went on the website, and those purses are beautiful and unusual. All right, so let me go back. So I was asking my son, so I'm saying to him, so I've never used Bluecat, so I'm saying, what is it about Bluecat? You know what he told me? He says, just like when you're playing a game and you can power people up. So he says you know anything about games, right? All right, so just like how you can power people up, he says you can power a friend up. So I guess if you have friends in the class, you can power up your friends. You can give your friends power if your friends lose their power. And he even went as far to say to me, because I divided them in two groups. So we have our Daniel group and we have our Joshua group. So he's saying, like how we are in groups. All right. She said, thanks for the stars. Love it. She said, like how we are in groups, we can power up our group members. So yes, it's important for the very two. I love that. Teach them about God and speak their language, because you cannot help them to tap into their purpose if you do not speak their language. If you don't speak their language, you cannot help them. All right? One of the things we need to do is, and you guys touched the very first one, so I'm just going to continue. Embrace what ifs. So encourage what ifs question. If we build something, what if we tried a new recipe? So I encourage the what ifs. You know, it's a way to have that conversation with them, Reds. And encourage the what ifs. What if we do that? So they will come to you and say, Mom, or Grandma, or Grandpa, or Dad, what if we tried this? What if we tried that? All right? So right now what you're doing is allowing them, the what ifs is a easy way to get them to spark those conversations, and you give them free space. What's that thing that they now have going around? You could do that with them. I'm trying to remember what they say. Something another, but we don't judge. You know that thing that they have on social media, going around on social media? If anybody knows it, you can drop it and help me. It's like parents and child, or husband and wife, and they say, I can't remember the first part, but it says like, we da, but we don't judge. So they're asking questions, the person is giving them the truth. And the truth is going to shock them sometime, but they're saying, you know what, we're not judging. And they keep asking each other questions. So even that could Lisa is saying, giving the child the opportunity to be in control of their thoughts and free space. Yes. And so some of us don't know how to do that. We want to. We want to give them the opportunity to be in control, but we are afraid that they will go over. So a good way for us to start, because what we're allowing them to do is start exploring those things they have inside them. Because a lot of the times the parents are the ones, thank you guys for the stars. A lot of times the parents are the ones who want to dictate what the child does, right? Right now, I'm working on this really big project. You see, people are like, what is going on? I'm always working on something. And I can't get into it. But my interest was sparked when I met this gentleman who owns a school in Ghana. And as an educator, I'm always an educator. And there's a particular part of education. I can speak about that because that is not what I'm doing my study, my research on right now. But there's this particular gentleman, and he's starting this particular school, or more, it's a school of thought, all right, for kids. He has already started doing well, by the way. I spoke to him this week, doing well. And when I was introduced and he just said, this is the type of school I have. I'm like, I've heard that all the time, but I've never looked into the school of thought. So I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and when I started doing the research, it sparked my interest, because one of the things I'm very interested in education is differentiated learning. And with you might be wondering, okay, you're an educator, you know what differentiated learning is, but I'm going to tell you in a nutshell. Differentiated learning, Reds, is tapping, and everybody who is online is tapping into the child's unique ability. Their learning style. How do they learn? And so one of the things, the school I was coming from in South Carolina, they were very big on differentiated learning. So you'd walk into my classroom, and my classroom would be groups, different groups. But every table that a child goes to have a different learning experience. And not only that, at the table, even though they're doing something similar, they're learning at different levels. And for some reason, I just could not give up those books, because I think it is important. The first thing I did every year is to do what is called a learning style test. And I don't keep the information for myself. I share it with the kids. So every child that I taught knew how they learned. Right? And so those are some of the things that will help children to start understanding, this is who I am. I wish I had somebody like myself who would have helped me to do that. So if you allow your child to start asking you, simple, don't worry about differentiated learning and stuff like that. Leave it to me and the other educators who know what we're talking about, right? But a way to tap into that is the what ifs. Allow your children to be able to come to you and ask you, Mom, Grandma, Granddad, Auntie, what if we did this? What if I did that? What if we tried this? And so what this does is it sparks imagination and it sparks problem solving. And somebody might be wondering, what are you talking about this morning? We're talking about dreaming big for the kids, helping the kids to walk into their purpose. Because I do a lot of this for adults, but we have kids around us who are trying to find themselves, especially our teenage kids. They're trying to find out, okay, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? All right? The other thing that you can do, so we have the what ifs. Give them those what ifs. Allow them to feel free to come and ask you those what if questions, or try those what ifs and come to you with their solutions, because what it does for them is tap into their problem solving skills. And you know what? They're going to solve the problems that align with who they are. They're not going to go out there and try to solve problems that has nothing to do with who they are. If you think this is interesting, and you think there's a parent out there this morning who needs to hear what we're talking about, and you might be asking what makes me an expert. I studied education. I studied education, and studying education, I had to study educational psychology. And so, yes, I'm not asking anybody if I am, I have the skill sets to do this. This is what I've done for years. My students have usually asked me, how do you know this? How do you know me? Oh, yeah, those questions I got, over the years. So this morning, I wanted to tap into this because we need to learn how to help our children to find who they are. And most of the projects that I'm working on this year is geared towards that. Provide diverse experiences. So expose them. Just like I say in my classroom, I'd have different stuff going on. Expose your kids. Expose them to different arts, different sports, different music, different cultures. A lot of times we take vacation by ourselves, friends. A lot of us are so guilty of taking our vacations by ourselves and leaving our kids behind. And so we go out there and we experience these different cultures, and they did not get an opportunity. I remember last year when we went on the cruise, and on that cruise we went to, I'm trying to remember, yeah, we went to a couple. We went to Mexico twice. We went to, we went to Belize and Honduras. Yes, those are the countries we went to. I already forgot. And the kids were there and they were excited. They got to see, and we ensured that we went local. So for every country that we went to, we went local. I think it was in Honduras where the driver we got, it was 4 families of us. And I said families, it wasn't just the husband and the wives, the kids were there. And they got the experience, which they maybe never get in our own countries. The gentleman we asked him for mangoes. And he took us to a house, his friend's house. And the trees were full of mangoes. I mean, mangoes, you could actually pick the mangoes standing. And we were stoning, taking up stones like when you're in Jamaica. Reds, you don't know that, but that. Yeah, poor Reds. Reds is Jamaican, but he grew up here. He spent most of his time here. That's a good thing. That's a good and bad thing. All right. So we're not going to bother Reds a lot, but we're gonna explain to him what that is. So, but when you have mango season, so like the mangoes that you can't catch, you get a stone, and you'll throw it up there, and you hit that mango, fall to the ground. Yeah, and we never used to take those mangoes. We're in mango bush. We don't take those mangoes and go wash no mangoes. We are going to eat those mangoes right there. Right? And that is what we were doing. So the kids, they got that experience. They weren't throwing no stones. We wouldn't have allowed them because we got a lot of practice because we were throwing stones when we were kids. But we did that, and this man got us a whole bucket of mangoes. Unfortunately, we could not take this back on the ship. All right. We did squeeze at 1 or 2 that didn't catch. They caught, I think, 1 person, they got it back from them. But, I got an extra mango. Some of us were searched, but it was good. It was a good experience. So you provide diverse experience for your kids. Lisa is saying, yep. Thanks for talking to me this morning, Lisa. If you know anybody who you think this morning could benefit from this conversation, please reach out to them. I know it's early in the morning, but let them jump on because, we're giving all these jokes and stuff, but this is serious stuff because a lot of us just don't know how to help our kids. we do not know how to help them, and that's the truth. And that is why a lot of them are struggling to find who they are. So I'm giving you some tips to help your kids to find their purpose, because that is what we do on Voices Behind the Mask. That is what we do, because our tagline is their season to go, to grow, and to glow in your purpose. So initially we said, ensure that they know God, ensure that they know that they can talk to God about everything. And I love what Lisa said earlier. She said that we need to speak their language. Thank you. She said, she shared, thank you, I appreciate it. We need to speak their language. We need to help them to embrace those what ifs. And the next point I'm on right now is to provide diverse experience for them. And even if you can't go on a trip with them, you can do these things online with them. Show them. Like, I remember one of the things I showed my students in the classroom, Reds, when I was there, because I think there's a misconception of other people's country in this country. There's a misconception of what other people have. Like, people will ask, do you have cars? Like, yeah. Do you have cell phones? Oh, yeah. And so one of the things I did, especially, and then there is a misconception too about Africa. And when they're showing Africa on the television, they always see people suffering, and they show them the wild animals and stuff, but like those beautiful, cities and so on, they're not shown. And so one of the things I used to do with my kids is that, or my past students, Reds, Lisa says good morning. Did you see that? All right, he's about to respond. All right, so I will respond for him. Somebody said good morning. Tell them pick up themselves. No, Reds will respond for himself. Yeah, and so I did that. I showed them countries like Nigeria, Accra, cities like those with the nice buildings, and infrastructure in general. You want me to give you a pause so you can say hi? Oh. All right. Yes, I used to show them that because I want them to understand that, and a lot of that works on their psyche. Because they know that our forefathers are originally from Africa. And if this is what we're coming out of, a lot of people don't want to identify with Africa, like black people who, descendants, because they think, okay, this is what and it affects people psychologically. A lot of these things affect people psychologically. So I wanted the kids that I taught to know that Africa was a beautiful place, and this is somewhere you can go on vacation, And so I did that for them. Another thing I did as well is that I usually played Jamaican music. Like, if I had the opportunity to play music in class, I'd play Jamaican music for them, and they loved it. Like, they absolutely loved it. So it is good to expose children to diverse experiences. So whether it be sports, music, arts, cultures, expose them. Because these are some of the things that will help them to start tapping into who they are. You'll see them start leaning into certain things. All right. Another thing, we need to nurture their strengths and their interests. And before we go to that, I'm going to ask Reds to play some music for us. So we're going to talk about how we nurture their strengths and their interests. All right, so we're still waiting on. I believe
since we talking about the kids, that's why.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children laughter remind us how it used to be. Everybody searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. Never find anyone who fulfills my need. A lonely place to be. And so I learned to depend on me. Hey, yeah. So everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never find anyone who fulfills my needs. A lonely place to be. And so I learned to depend on me. But I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I feel, if I
All right, so Reds is in charge of the music, right? But I love that. I love the Jamaican version. Our children are our future, and so we have to tap into them and help them. So like I said earlier, the next thing is nurturing their strengths and their interests. So how can we do that? It's not about us. Try to remember when it comes on to the kids and helping them to find who they are. And I wanted to grab these nuggets this morning. It might never come back again. All right? Observe and listen. And as parents, a lot of us do not do that. We do not listen to them. We do not observe them. Pay attention to what makes them light up. Now you have some kids that you're looking at them and you can't figure out what is going on. But pay attention to them. Find out what makes them light up. Do they love to build buildings? Do they love to dance? Do they love to write stories? Do they love to help others? I remember bringing my son downtown in December when I was with Pastor Chris and her group feeding the homeless down there. And he did good. Like, he did good. I don't know if that's something that he'd like to do. We might have to have that conversation. But he did good. But that's exposure right there to show them that there are other people out there who are suffering. That is what I wanted to do for him. To show him that, yes, you have this for your comfort. But there are people, you have a bed. You have a roof over your head. But there are people out there that don't have any of that. And I also tell him stories of how many of these people may have ended up on the street. So that is exposure. But you need to listen to them. Observe and listen to them. Pay attention to what makes them tick, what makes them happy. What do you think, Reds?
You catch me off guard, I'm listening, getting my next song lined up.
All right. I'll allow him to think. All right. I allow him to focus on what he's doing, and I do what I do best, talk. All right. Another thing we need to do is support their interest. Like my son told us that he wants to play football. So we just let him play football. What he does with that is up to him. You know, if that is what he wants to explore, go ahead. So we need to learn how to support their interests and provide. So in supporting their interests, we provide them with the resources. We encourage them. We give them opportunities to pursue those passions. So they can't say that at any time you stood in the way. Whatever is it that they like to do, there's something that they want to do, they ask you, and you can ask them these questions. Is there anything that you're interested in, like somewhere you'd want to go and see it? Suppose they want to be an astronaut. You can take them. What's that place, that space station? I think it's in Orlando or close to Orlando. Can't remember the name. I'm not remembering nothing this morning. All right. But whatever it is that they're interested in. They love sports, take them to some games, let them see, because they might not end up playing the sports, but allow them to understand and look at that person, that's a job, that person, that's a job, that person, and they see it for themselves. So they're like, okay, I might not be the best athlete, but I can do this, or this as a career choice. So we have to do that. We have to support their interests. Whatever their interests are, support. That might not be what they end up doing, but we have to learn how to support that. I was always a talker. And back then when I was growing up, I think my parents recognized that. And then in what they kept, and I think somewhere in my back of my mind, I've always said I want to do law. Maybe that's it. But if you want something bad enough, you go after it. And I don't think I've ever try hard to, I've never even applied to law school. But they used to tell me, though, that they used to always say, you're going to become a lawyer because you talk so much. I don't think I'm just talking now. I've always been a talker. I've always been a talker. Yes. But they encouraged me, in their own way, because they were saying, oh, you're going to become a lawyer because you talk so much. And not knowing that teachers talk a lot, talk show hosts talk a lot, trainers talk a lot. There's so many other professions where people talk a lot. And I think I prefer to do this.
Pastors talk a lot.
Pastors talk a lot, and I do preach. All right? I'm not a pastor, but I do preach. So I am tapping into, so let me think. So who I am is innate. Because if I've always been like this, even as a child, it is innate. All right? And I remember one time, I don't know, somebody come from foreign and tell me if we dance. And we dance. You don't know there's something, you're in there foreign. I'll get money. Yeah. Don't force fit. What does that mean? Don't push them into stuff that they don't want to do. Are we talking about, if you're just coming on, we're talking about how you help your children to find their purpose, to find who they are. So when they get to your age, they don't have to be struggling to find who they are. All right? Another thing, and I don't want to settle on that for too long. So don't force fit them. Guide them. Let them explore the stuff that they want to do. Another thing is critical thinking. Encourage them to question things, to analyze things, and to solve problems. You can't, every time they open their mouth, you tell them to shut up. Allow them to be able to analyze a situation. Sometimes we hear them and we want to slap their ears off, though. Because they're like, but mom, such and such and such and such and such, and you need to do that because, and they'll check you too. They'll check you. And that's a way of analyzing the situation, that they're like, you'll be telling them, okay, don't leave this on the kitchen. Don't leave anything on the kitchen counter. But you left something there, like, mom, you left something on the kitchen counter. And some people are like, boy, sit down. I can leave things on the kitchen counter. You can't.
A my counter.
Yeah, my counter. Yeah, I've done that, right? I'm the adult in the house. I can do this and do that.
You pay for anything in here?
That's right. Tell boy you pay for. Show boy you pay for. And you're like nothing. But stuff like that will cause some kids will keep coming at you. Some kids will keep coming at you. All right? I saw my son got mad about his game the other day. But I don't think it was a game per se. It was being pulled from the game at a critical time. I was dying. I was dying. I was laughing out loud, but in my mind I was like, okay. All right, because you have to be careful. But yes, encourage them to think for themselves. Encourage them to think for themselves. Also, in communication, you have to foster open and honest communication. Open and honest communication. Allow them to want to come to you, right? And as mothers, we know what that feels like, because even our sons, our daughters and our sons, they'll come to us as opposed to going to their parents. You don't want going to their fathers, but parents, you don't want your children not feeling comfortable to come to you. I remember I was working somewhere when in Jamaica you leave high school at 17. So I was working somewhere when I was 17, 18. I think it was more 18. And there was this lady. I'm not going to call her name on air, but there was this lady who had, and it stood out for me, the relationship she had with her daughter, to the point where her daughter was in high school at the time, grown woman now, but her daughter was in high school at the time, and she was dating somebody, and she was aware of everything. Whatever was going on. So she was able to guide her. So if you cannot have that open communication with your kids, they're going to talk to somebody else. The boyfriends and the girlfriends might be their source of guidance. Lisa is saying, what I find it also is that we as parents don't show, come on now, don't show affection like saying I love you, and why, and why we love them. We have to have those conversations. We have to have those conversations. And Reds, so for my son, whenever I come off, Rashina says, so true. Morning, Rush. Morning, morning. For my son, when I'm coming off the phone with him, so I'll be at work, and I'll call him to check up on him to find out, if he's okay, if he had dinner, stuff like that. What is he doing? And when I'm coming off the phone, I say, I love you. And we were having a conversation, and I know for some reason, I was getting off the phone, and he said, for the very first time, he's like, I guess he's trying to say to me, you never said it. And he said, love you. And I said, I love you too. So I was, because he was the one who's always saying, I love you too. So this time around, it flipped. Because he said, because he's like, oh, I guess maybe that's what came into his head, like, yeah, whereas, and you don't even recognize how important, and it took me aback. It happened this week, and it took me aback, and I'm like, okay, yes. So Rashina is responding to me and Lisa, and it's true, especially Caribbean parents. They don't tell each other that they don't tell their children that they love them. Some of them find it even difficult to tell their spouses. We don't do that. And so we don't understand the psychological effect that this have on those kids. And yes, you said, well, Alderine, you're talking about purpose. But if these children are are dealing with psychological blockage, even walking to their purpose, even as adults, become a problem. Because people need to know, like for me, my dad loved on me when I was growing up. And I tell people all the time, like my friends would ask me questions when I was dating. Like my friends would ask me, like, oh, you don't put up with all this bull because I see other people, other people are putting up with all this bull from their males who have an interest in them. I said, for me, I had a dad who showed me love. I had a dad who was always there for me. And he never had much, but he gave me love. And so I don't take foolishness from anybody. I never did. You start going with your foolishness, I'm gone. Because my dad taught me what it is. My father was my first love. And so I don't even know if he knew what he was doing or what he poured into me, but he taught me what it is for how a man is supposed to love somebody. Your fathers are responsible for taking care of you, giving you that lunch money. And the funny thing about it, Reds, my mother and father were not even together. They broke up when I was 10. So I was seeing my dad. My dad I had stepmothers. I had some good stepmothers, by the way. I had good stepmothers. And I think it's because of the father that I had. They had no choice but to treat me properly. You know? So, Venice, morning, Venice. Yes, and she repeated it was Venice that says this. Sorry, Missionary Venice. Especially Caribbean. And she also said, I grow up and don't think my parents ever said that to me twice. It's only now since I came here to the U.S. I heard the words love, love, love all the time. Yeah, you have to do that. You have to tell your kids that you love them. It's imperative, you know? And even one of the things I try to tell my child, but also as a family, Rashina is my niece, and I don't get off the phone. We don't get off the phone without saying to each other, we love you. And one of the things we did as kids growing up, she might not know this, but like her mom and my cousins who we all grew up together, we were always complimenting each other. So I have people who have an issue with how much I love myself. And how much I'll talk about me because I had people pour into me all my life. Reds will never have nothing. Barely sometime have food, but we had love. And so we look at each other and say, girl, oh, you're so pretty. Man, and we even say it. We know we're poor. Even, we say, yeah, we're poor, but we're pretty. We're already bossy poor. But it was more because we learned how to pour into each other. I love you was a staple in my family. And we told each, and we must have gotten it. I don't even think we even thought about where we got it from. We must have gotten it from our parents because they poured into us. And I grew up in an extended family home, so cousins and everybody. So we poured into each other. So we grew up. And you might wonder where my confidence came from. I grew up with that confidence because of and all of us. If you meet any of my cousins that we grew up with, I saw everybody. We have a confidence that we walk with. She said, "Some fathers, not all the curse is all that cause them to want to be." I'm not trying. Say that again one more time so I can read exactly what you're saying, Mission. I think you missed out some things. I can't get the fullness of what you're trying to say because I love to pull you all in my conversation. But I'm going to run through quickly. Communication, empathy, and compassion. Guide them in understanding and connecting with others. Let them guide them in understanding, in how to understand how to connect with others, how to have empathy for other people. Resilience. Help them to learn from setback and bounce back and how to bounce back from their challenges. We are creating some monsters out there because we need to allow our kids to understand. And we might have to have a part 2, but we need to help our kids to understand that it's not always going to be roses. We hide the struggle from our kids. I have a friend who, goes through a lot of struggles, but her child knows. And you know what? That child is now a woman, but at the top of her game. Why? She understands the struggles. She was able to fight it out with her mom. And now she's at the top of her game. We have to let them understand. Well, when they're younger, that you can say, now have those conversations. We don't want to. But when they become teenagers, talk to them. There's no money in the house. We have to buy. We have to do this. We have to do that. We have to do that. Most recently, my son said to us, he needs a car. Because he passed this thing there. But we had to sit down and explain to him, that's not, getting a car is one thing. But the insurance and all of that is another thing. So you'll eventually get a car, but it's not now. You know? So you need to explain these things to them. And Lisa is saying she has the same experience, you know, and a lot of parents don't do it. I have a grandparent who, when she comes off the phone, she said, bless you, I know she loves me. And the other day, for the very first time, but I'm always coming off the phone and say, Grandma, I love you. And it's not that she don't love me. My grandmother check on me all the time. If anything is happening, she's concerned. And for the very first time, because I guess, because I say it so much, she was coming off the phone and she said, I love you. Because as Caribbean parents, they didn't practice all that. Maybe she has never told her kids, but she told me.
They show love in different ways.
They show love in different ways, but we want to hear it. We know, you know, I mean, something melted inside of me to hear her, but she's always blessing me. She's always saying, may the Lord bless you, da, 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 da. But I still wanted to hear her say, I love you. And when I knew she loved me, don't get me wrong. And I love my grandmother dearly. But when she said that something, it did so much for me. You know? So it is important. It is important for us to, yes. So it is important. We have to take this up. I might have to do a part 2 next week because I'm not done with everything that I have to say, but time is against us. I thank everybody who came on this morning. Lisa is saying she approved, and I'm going to finish with your comment. She's saying, so some people take the in. I'm gonna touch on that next week because that's a topic it's a taboo topic that we don't talk about, missionary Venice, but I'm gonna talk about that next week. So you all jump out. We're gonna talk about that next week. She was talking about how some parents take away their children's innocence, and as a teacher, I've seen a lot of that too. So we'll talk about it next week. But thank you guys so much. We got so much into this discussion that it ran off. We didn't realize, you know. But thank you all so much. Thank you all for coming on Voices Behind the Mask. I'm your host, Alderine Foote. We will be here next week with part 2. Because there's a lot more to say. So go ahead, get this book, Dream Big. Get the book, Dream Big. And this is the only book I'm showing you this week because that's what we're talking about. Get the book, Dream Big, for your kids. It's a powerful book that will guide them into finding who they are. All right? Thank you all, guys, for coming on this morning. It was a wonderful morning. Thank you all so much. Love you. Blessings.